Hi, welcome to a new video about electronic reporting in my channel YouTube. This video is a special video because I am going to share with you my solution, the solution I use to create new electronic reporting reports. That means get rid of the ugly SSRS. Yeah, we love SSRS. We've been working with it probably many years, but it's time to get something more like efficient in terms of cost versus result of the reports, in terms of designing the format. So with electronic reporting, we can use the power of Excel, Word to get pretty designs and very easily in a user-friendly way, and that we can even delegate that part of the design of the template into the functional, etc. So the solution I've developed consists in a generic solution where we can set up what electronic reporting we want to execute and create a menu item, a controller, a data contract, and a service, iterating from a three generic, one of each type, classes that I put there for you. And yeah, I'm sharing it for free with you, so I hope you find it useful. At least for me, I find it quite useful, and it makes my life easier when it comes to develop new reports. So I hope you will understand how to use it. That's the aim of this video, to explain you how you can use it. You have the code in GitHub. I'll make sure to share with you, and there you have also a sample example, so you can see how it's done. The sample example is what we are going to see in this video. So yeah, let's go for it, and I hope you enjoy. To create new reports using electronic reporting, what I've done is to generalize a solution in order to make it a lot easier in order to create new reports reusing the same logic. And that solution is, I'm going to share it with all of you in the GitHub. I'll see how to make it accessible for all of you. I'll put it in the YouTube video description probably, and in the blog post. So basically the idea is we have some functionality here. This is the solution, the generic solution. We have some functionality here. I added some fields into the electronic reporting form to, yeah, this is the fields I've added to them. They will be only visible in the format. All that logic is in the solution. So whenever we have a format that we want to call from code, we check this flag, and that will ask for the model name and the data contract. As we saw in the video about how executing electronic reportings from XPP, those are needed to let the code know and the ER, like to connect all of them, to let them know what data contract to use in the case of the ER, and from the code how to send that data contract to the electronic reporting. This is part of the solution. So this is used by three classes basically. These extensions are including the logic for the fields we've seen, and the form extension, and so on. So the logic itself for executing is containing these three abstract classes that we will basically extend. That's all we need to do. It's to extend those three classes and then add a new menu item to call the controller extension. It's not an extension, it's like inherit, because I know you probably know the difference, but here it says extends, so that can guide you to confusion. It's not an extension. We are not changing the behavior of the extended class, but we are inheriting. It's an inheritance. Okay, it's a child. We are creating children classes for them. So in the controller, let's take a brief look at it. We have some public abstract methods that we will need to fulfill in our children classes. Also, we have some default values and some logic to execute a generic, using a generic data contract that we will extend, checking the needed fields are fulfilled, etc., etc. Like the setup is done correctly. In the data contract, we have basically a data contract with the parameters we need to just execute everything, and we will inherit, we will create a child data contract, adding those parameters that are specific for our electronic reporting. And the service is doing the logic to call basically the data contract using the generic data contract, to call the electronic reporting using the generic data contract. I don't want to deep dive into the details of this implementation. You will be able to download it and just probably feel free to change the FTD prefix and so on, and just investigate how it works if you have curiosity. But if not, let's just do an example of how we would use it, and let's see how easy it is. So let's start with the data contract, because it's the first one. Like it's the one that it's not dependent on the others. So first thing is to extend the generic, that it's FTD generic data contract. Okay. Once we extend it, we are more or less done. We have to add any data contract. And then we add the specific methods that we are going to use. There you are, the three variables and param methods. And also what I like to do is to, let me copy from my notes. It's to implement this class. So we put the validation into the data contract. It's something I like to do, but we could also validate in the controller if needed. And so we validate that the event account exists. We validate from date being later to date, or whatever validation you need. This is specific for the implementation. So in our case, we are going to execute a report to see some information about the purchase orders. So we need the vendor, from date, and to date. Okay, yeah, that's it. So we finished with our contract. Now let's create the controller. Okay, and the same, we have to basically extend the FTD generic controller. And in this case, we are going to have to provide a little bit more information, but to help you, as I showed before, we are going to see here the abstract methods that needs to be implemented. So I think with that we are okay. It's only the minimum piece of information you need to provide to this. So we need to add get setup format mapping. I don't remember the structure of it, but basically let's copy them from here and do this. So the caption, of course this should be a label, but I'm going to add here specific report. get set up format mapping ID. In my case, I am. This is something that basically that's what you will need to do. You will need to configure for this specific implementation. We are executing a specific electronic reporting format. You need to parameterize it and give it to the controller in this method. Okay, this is the name we are going to use for our This is the name we are going to use for our data contract parameter in the service. So we can put the identifier string, and we can, like, for example, call it the data contract. Okay, and the get file without extension, of course, this should be also a label. Let's call it specific ER report. It's without the extension because later on we will be able to use print destinations that will change the type, for example, to a PDF. And so, yeah. With this, I think we're good to go. The only thing that is missing is, of course, a main method. Put static a main method to call this controller that we want to execute. So we add the main method. Main method, that is, and we can call directly this. A construct and the run report controller. This run report controller is in the generic controller, and it will do all the logic that we need. So in the construct, of course, that we have to create it, public static construct, then we are going to basically say, hey, like in every controller of every sys operation framework or whatever, we're going to say that the service and the method and the execution mode, like synchronous, asynchronous. So now it's time to create the service. Let's use the same service here, since of course I had it already prepared. That's why I already had it, in order to not having you waiting there. So let's create the service, and the service is stupidly easy to create. We just need to have a method that executes, well, first of course extend the generic one, FTD ER generic execution service, perfect, and then run the report, making sure we use the data contract and we have it name it with the same name that we provided here in the contract service param name. And then we execute the ER report. This execute ER report is going to do all the logic for us. It's going to get this, okay? Yeah, basically the format mapping and the model name, everything is going to be get by our generic classes. So if we now create let's create the menu item. Let's call it the same way we call the controller. I like to do it like that. Just class. This is stupid. It's stupidly easy. That should be a label. Let's call it specific ER report. And now it's a matter of putting our action menu item somewhere. So I'm going to put it in the accounts payable, inquiries and reports. Yeah, I think that should be it. So now let's build. Okay, it built and we finished with the development. Like the development part was all done. All the rest of the report is done with the ER functionality and in the UI of the product. So look how much effort we have spared from development. So now let's go to the environment, and it's a matter of configuring the, like we have here the specific ER report, but we can't execute it until we have everything configured. I already configured it, but I am going to give you a quick overview of how to do it. So we need to create a new model. Mine is called vendor cross-reference report because I reused a model I had somewhere. Basically in the model, I am filling some information that it's the from date to date and vendor account that I want to show from the contract, and some information from the purchase orders. So I go to the map model to data source, and here basically I map everything like we have seen in all our previous videos. This is the map model mapping. It goes from the tables or from the data. In case of exporting, like this is, it goes from the data to the model with the model mapping. It maps the data to the model, and after that, in the format mapping, we map that model that we fulfilled previously. We map it with the format. So here, as I said, I am reusing this. So in order to use the enumeration, I am using this, and you can this function like the get enum value by name. We have a video about it that you can check out if you haven't. And basically the important thing is that we have added a data contract, like going here. That also explained in the video of mine about calling ER from code. But basically you add an object, if I don't remember wrongly, that it's the data contract. Yeah, it's an object. So you specify your data contract. Once you do that, this is not like it. This is only to initialize these params. If you change the data contract, but these params are the same, it's just going to still work. I don't know how, but it does. So we have here, for example, the file name, format mapping ID. All this information is like from the generic, but we have also the from date, we have the to date, and the vendor account. So those are used in the purchase table filter to filter the purchase table with the by the fields order account and the delivery date, being delivery date, later to from date, but before the delivery date. That's it, and we map it here. Okay. I am not using labels, but we could add in the model the labels too, like because this is a report, so we want it to be multi-language. Is there a problem with that? No, it's not a problem at all. You can I think it's in the format directly. We will be able to do it. So yeah, we have it, and now the thing is, once you have the model and the model mapping, like we have right now, you create a format based on an Excel. So you need to have the Excel template prepared where you basically format the report that we want to execute. I have it prepared here, and the idea, I also have a video explaining how to work with Excel format. But the idea is that you make an Excel template empty without data, and you define variables here, in the name manager. You define, for example, you can go to the name manager, and for example, if I would like to add a new field, you create new, and you refer to the cell itself. Of course, I've already done. For example, for the table, every single field I have the, for example, order ID. That order ID refers to the table 1 order ID, and the order ID label, just in case I'd like to put a label value here instead of using directly the order ID, just to make our report multi-language. Same happen with format, with the from date, vend account, to date, and the table itself. This is a table. It needs to be a table. So if you are not familiar with tables, basically, you put the headers and you insert table, and that's it. You do, like, we could insert a table here. My table is named table 1. I know it's not the best name, but well, this is a demo, so yeah, you'll forgive me. Once we have this, we go to the format. Again, I already explained it into more detail in the dealing with Excel formats in electronic reporting. But basically, we go here, we click on import, update from Excel, update template, or if it's the first time you will have to add template. Use the template that we saw, and this is going to create you this object with all the different cells or group of cells that you have defined, tables, the picture itself, just in case I would like to have a logo that changes per company or whatever. So in first sight, I'd say we can do the same, or exactly the same we do in SSRS. Like, I haven't found any particular report since I started using this solution that I couldn't do it, or I couldn't like match the requirements with ER. So yeah, that's spared a lot of time to me. Like, that saved a lot of time of dealing with the ugly interface and format designer of the SSRS by development. Also, once you are in this point, when you have already created the model and already created the model mapping, then the modification of the template can be done by a functional. For example, with the data model mapping and so on, it's a little harder because they need to know the data structure, they need to know the different methods. But with the format, it's feasible. It's perfectly feasible. So I am not using labels, but we could, for example, here use a label in the title, so we can see how to use labels. Let's pick a label. I don't know if I have labels here. Let's create no, because I need to build. Let's use this label. So basically, you copy and this might be a problem for a functional, that's true. But if you give the functional the labels, yeah, you will be able to do this. So this is the way we use a label. We basically put the @ sign and the label, the same that you would use from the development interface. That's it. Let's now execute our report in the Enumeration report, specific year report. Okay, let's show destination. Since I don't have electronic reporting destinations right now, I'm going to put it as no. Okay, and that's the report. It's created. Let's see it. There you are. There you are, the report with the information. It looks a lot better than what I could I could have achieved with SSRS and in a lot less time. So here, for example, this line, this is a conditional formatting that I basically added to the template. So the template is going to be reused. It's not that it's going to generate a new Excel from scratch. No, anything you do to the template, it's going to be in the final file. So for that conditional formatting, you can add a normal conditional here formatting or whatever, like the derivative date, I am using the date, and that's why it's showing this format. So it saves a lot of time, and you have all the power of Excel for you. You could even have calculated columns or whatever you need. So yeah, it's a complete new world for us. And yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to show, basically how I am dealing with new reports from a while ago. I think it's been 5 months since I first started working this way with the new reports. I am very, very happy with it. So I wanted to share with all of you. And yes, I was saying, you will find it in my GitHub. Let me show it to you. It's just in case you don't want to go to the description or link or whatever. It's called Plenitude de la Dev, run ER report by code, and I plan it to be public. So that's it. Thanks for your attention, and I plan to do a second version of it that it's going to be very, very, very short, talking about how to do the same, like how to get rid of SSRS, but with already existing reports using the business documents and the print management. I won't spend a lot of time there. It's just to let you know it exists, because there's more information around, and there are very good blogs talking about it. But at least I wanted to close the circle of how to get rid of SSRS if we have the chance. Thank you.